is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Guardian Radio Today is brought to you by Assurance Home Care and Prince Masters.
And welcome to another edition of Guardian Radio Today with your host, Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Enius III, also known as Kahun Anku Sarah. It is my pleasure to be with you today on this Tuesday, the 17th of February, on a I don't know, I call it a warm, cool day. You know, if you're in the shade, you'll feel a little cool, but the sun is beaming. We're always happy to have you with us, and we'll be here until 4 p.m. on Guardian Radio 96.9. Our phone lines today, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, the Family of Violence, 242-300-5720. Of course, the Guardian Radio text line is powered by BTC, and the number there is 422-4796, 422-4796. Standard text rates do apply. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com, and we're also on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 or BTC Flow Channel 612. I got to shout out my boy Eason. Eason is tuned in today with many others. But I just saw your message come through, brother. Thanks for listening, man. Today is an open line, all right? There's a lot going on in the country. Last night, I was outside, and I saw my son, my 10-year-old. He looked up, and he said, "Daddy, what's that?" And it was this trail of, it looked like a centipede. It looked like a lit-up centipede in the sky, right? And so, of course, we were getting ready to jump in the car, and I beckoned to my wife to look up. She looked up. My daughter looked up. We caught a picture of it. And long story short, what we found was that this was one of the Starlink satellites that were being, I think it was launched either Valentine's Day or the day after Valentine's Day. I don't know if anybody else saw it, but it was definitely something to see. Yeah, because when you're not expecting that, it was weird. But this was, we did some research, the SpaceX Trail of Satellites, and this refers to a Starlink satellite train, a visible line of bright lights in the night sky created by newly launched SpaceX Internet satellites moving in close formation in low Earth orbit. These trains are most visible immediately after launch before they disperse into higher operational orbits and appear as a string of bright points at dusk or dawn. So yes, we saw that, and man, I didn't know what it was. I was like, okay, this is weird. This texter says, "Good afternoon." So they announced today that SpaceX was approved for tomorrow. Gotta love the transparency. Yeah. Anyway, the thing was in the sky, but it wasn't landing here. I think they're talking about allowing the rockets to land here again. And so, like I say, it is an open line. And so that's on the table. Also, I want to talk about these potential Uber drivers. And I want to get some thought. I'm sure, it's been talked about, but I want to hear what you have to say about this whole idea of Uber service, etc. But I think we have a call here on Guardian Radio today, so let's let that caller through. Caller, you're live.
Dr. Anku.
How you doing, sir?
I am fine.
Great. Good to hear your voice.
but last week you hurt my head. And I couldn't wait for Tuesday for you to
Come back. Tomorrow show we diving even deeper into it, but let me hear what you got to say today.
No, you often on point, but with some biblical stuff, you know, I love my biblical.
Yeah.
And I'm asking, I would encourage all Bahamian men. There's nothing effeminate about being connected to your Bible biblically.
Amen. I agree.
While the colors may come in gold, red, and black, if they are not connected biblically, they in the red are not a Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And I live by that because the evidence is clear. You have to be. I got two questions for you.
Sure.
And I asked this question to your cousin, Godfrey Aeneas, yesterday.
Okay.
We often share biblical. Why did Jesus went in Foxhill, Baintown, Engliston, Gambia, in the ghetto to choose his 12 disciples?
Why?
Yeah.
Because he came under his own.
Explain that.
Well, the book of John, chapter 1, I think it's around verse 11. It talks about the fact that the Messiah came unto his own, and then it says, and his own received him not. But those that did receive him.
Who is this own? Who were they?
Well, he was from the tribe of.
The elites? Like, they were the elites?
The elites? No, I wouldn't say so. They were a royal tribe, but they were not seen as a royal tribe because this was during the occupation of the Greeks. And so they, just like in this day and time where we are under the occupation of, in our instance, London or the UK or the Commonwealth, they would say, we're not valued as a royal people, right? The people that our government swears to when they take office, you know, the king, his heirs, and his successors forevermore, they are seen as a royal people, which is fine for their people to see them as royal, but it's not something that benefits us to see them as royal. You there?
I'm listening.
Yeah.
You finished?
Yeah, I'm going to let you continue the question.
This is why he went, because his own.
Yeah, his own was he was a part of an occupied people. His people were being oppressed.
Wow. Well, you know, Peter was rebellious, right?
Yep.
Why Peter was rebellious? He knew who the master was.
Mm-hmm.
But in some cases, he tested him by rebelling just to prove. And he was very defensive. No one could have get close to him.
Mm.
You following me?
Yeah.
So Peter used his sword on many occasions, didn't he?
Yep.
And at one point he went to take off the man's head, didn't he?
That's correct.
But he missed his head and got the hair, right?
Yep.
And Jesus took it up and put it back on.
You're right.
So Peter was trying to prove a point. And he knew who Peter was, and he just demonstrated love back to Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right on that?
Yeah, that's how the story goes.
So you're saying, like I am encouraging my bloodline brothers to connect themselves. So one of the greatest myths in the world is love, then.
You say one of the greatest myths in the world is love?
Like, we don't display love because he came, and didn't he come to bring us love?
Love of self and kind. You say love your neighbor as yourself. So we should be loving ourselves first. Unfortunately, we try to love the world first, and we end up in a disadvantaged position because we love everybody but ourselves. And so we end up treating others who are not our own better than our own.
So going back to your topic a few weeks ago, self-hate.
Right. There you go.
Okay, this is a heavy one now.
Yeah.
I need you to clear up. I know I'm going to get a lot of debates, but I like that lady who called last week. I hope she would call in again about not sharing. I don't know if I agree with you too much about a man having these extra wives.
But tomorrow we can talk about that some more. That topic I leaving for tomorrow. But
I want to know, help me, who is this strange woman? Solomon was warned that he warned his son, and his son still disobeyed him with this strange woman. Who was this woman, and where did she come from?
These were the tribes of the Canaanites. When you go to the book of Genesis chapter 10, around verse 15, they give you a list of the 11 sons of Canaan. And the Canaanites were those who the Messiah referred to as the Gentiles. And in fact, if you read up further in Genesis chapter 10, around verse 4 and 5, it speaks of one called Javan. And it talks about his progeny. I'm pulling it up right now, but it talks about his progeny, saying these are the isles of the Gentiles. But this Javan, if you look up that word Javan is the word Ionia or Greece. And so what they were admitting was that the Gentiles, scripturally, are the Greeks. Unfortunately, because the Greeks hijacked the scriptures, they made themselves the Hellenistic Jews, which is why the Messiah in Revelation 2:9 and 3:9 talks about these people who are calling themselves Jews, but they're really the synagogues of Satan. He was talking about these Hellenistic Jews. And if you go to the book of Maccabees, I think it's 2 Maccabees 12:21. I'll pull it up for sure, but it talks about the Greeks and these Jews being kinsmen. So they're really the same people. The first book of Maccabees, chapter 1, it opens with Alexander the Greek, or Alexander the Great. And so this gives you contextual clues as to who's really controlling the narrative, right? Alexander, his father was Philip of Macedon. And in the book of Philippians, right, they talk about these saints who were of the house of Caesar, right? In the New Testament, you also have a book called Titus, right? But Titus was one of the triumvirate in the Roman Godhead. And so they were writing themselves into Scripture as the holy people, when in truth they were the Gentiles.
So would you say Jezebel come from that tribe?
Yeah, that type of behavior, because that's where Sodom and Gomorrah ultimately comes in, right? When you look, I'm just going to Genesis chapter 10 just quickly just to look at it, right? It gives you at verse 15 these Canaanites all the way from, right? So Canaan begot Sidon, his firstborn, and Heath, and the Jebusite. The Jebusite is who becomes your Jews. Then it talks about the Amorite. The Amorite is mentioned in Genesis 15 as the ones whose iniquities were not yet full. In Genesis chapter 15, verse 16, it says they're going to bring back their iniquities, the slavery, the racism, a lot of stuff you see happening right now in the news if you're paying attention. It talks about the Amorite, the Hivite, the Archite, the Sinite, the Arvadite, Zemarite, the Hamathite. Now, the Hamathite, these were the dark-skinned Canaanites. In fact, this was the older tribe. They were dark-skinned with straight hair, right? And then it talks about, and afterward the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. And it says, the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou comest to Gerar, unto Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah and Zeboam, and even unto Lasha. So Sodom and Gomorrah, the behavior of Sodom and Gomorrah, we see in a Jezebel. And that,
so, but the king, being the king, King Ahab, knew about all of this. Why did he marry Jezebel?
Because what did let's go to Ezra, right? It talks about this mixing of the seed and the fact that the people who are supposed to be
Mixing of what?
the mixing of the seed. Ezra 9 talks about, Ezra prays about intermarriage, right? It says now in verse 1, now when these things were done, the princes came to me saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations, even of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and this is talking about the Greco-Aegyptos Egyptians, and the Amorites. And it says, and they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, the hand of the princes and the rulers hath been the chief in this trespass. So when you ask, why did Ahab do it? Ahab was a part of this reprimand that was being given in Isaiah chapter 9. They were saying the princes and the chiefs who's supposed to be keeping the covenant, they the main ones breaking it. That's something that was happening amongst those people, which is why when you go to 1 Kings 17, around verse 18, it says that the Most High, he removed them. I'm just pulling it up right quick, right? 1 Kings 17, let's see. Or is it 2 Kings? 1 second, I'm pulling it up right now. Because what happened was we were breaking these commandments, and the result of it was we fell out of the covenant. 2 Kings 17:18. Therefore the Lord was very angry with Israel and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Judah. Then it goes on to say, and Judah kept not the commandments of the Lord their God, but walked in the statutes of Israel, which they made. So this Israel is not talking about the original Israel. This is talking about those Hellenistic Jews. This is talking about those who were calling themselves Israel, but were really the synagogues of Satan, and they were breaking these covenants. They were mixing their seed with the Canaanites.
Wow. Okay, man. Listen, I'll get off the phone now. But I still disagree with you. I think Solomon was a fool. King Solomon was a fool.
Well, he was a fool. He was a fool because he broke these commandments. Now, why he was a fool, that's another story. Because Jacob wasn't a fool for having more than one wife, but Solomon, Jacob was chosen. Jacob was called Israel.
Also a fool. Jacob was also a fool. You cannot manage. So 365 concubines. Man, Solomon, why did it? So he had to commit back and want.
No one is advocating that people follow Solomon in that way. That's not what we advocate.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, man. I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks for calling, man. 323-6232. 325-4316, 325-4259. The Family of Violence, 242-300-5720. Of course, that's toll free. Text line is 422-4796. This is an open line, but that was the first question of the day. Let's run back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Call you live.
Pastor Uncle.
How you doing, sir?
Papa, yeah, thank God for life.
Yes, Papa.
Yes, Pastor Uncle, he say, Solomon. So, good day, Dr. B. Dr. B, you wouldn't call me. I try to reach you on your number. Your shop number ain't working. He say Solomon was a fool.
In his estimate, Solomon was a fool because of the amount of women he chose to be with. In the book of 1 Kings chapter 11, right, they talk about Solomon and the fact that he didn't just have a lot of women. He had, they say, strange women. This word.
But Dr. P feel like because he had a lot of women, if you have a lot of women, you're a fool.
Well, see, tomorrow we talking about that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we can get back to that.
We can get back to that.
You got to get back on that because he was saying.
Yeah.
He was telling us last week if we could take care of them women, take care of them children.
Yeah.
Kind of shit. Okay, Dr. B, the number is 677-7748. 677-7748. Uncle, you say it's an open line, so first thing, I don't know if you have a pen there. I enjoy listening to what you have to say to what I say, so I wish you could let me just get this out.
Go ahead, bro.
Then I can hang up and listen to what you have to say to enjoy it better.
Yeah, I got you.
Who or what is Abomanites? Who they is? What they is? Explain it to us. That sound like we might know what it is, but I'm not sure. It might be just a word, sound like something. Abomanites?
You
That
mean
was a group of people?
no? They were saying that it was an abomination. The way that they, if you go to this book of Ezra, right? When you look at it, as we say with African eyes, the word for seed or sperm is the word zera. All right? That word Ezra is the word zera, hidden in Scripture, because it's talking about the seed. It's talking about this holy seed, right? And it's saying that these people were doing, they didn't separate themselves from the people of those of the lands of those Canaanites. It says doing according to their abominations, right? This word abominations is the word toeba, and it means something disgusting morally, all right? That is an abhorrence, especially idolatry or an idol, abominable customs, right? So things that we're doing that does not serve our self-interest, it becomes an abomination.
So I didn't hear. I know. And I hear you. I hear that before, and I appreciate that. So I didn't hear you right when you used the word abominate. Say.
No, I didn't say. I was saying according to their abominations. So,
I thought it was a group of people named Abominite.
No.
Okay, it depends. And I hang up on these two. I was wondering if you, since we talk a little bit of religious and then faith, if the people them who continue, not the set who discontinue their life and trying to follow the way how their faith say to do it. Let's go with Christianity. Homosexuals, lesbians, and gay people, can they continue same-sex relationship? Let's go as far as they say they married. Would they make it into the arms of the, how to say it?
Into the bosom of the Most High?
Would they get eternal life also? Can they receive eternal life if you believe?
No, they can't.
Eternal life.
They can't receive eternal life because they is. And let me just be clear.
I talking about the set who not discontinuing, the set who continuing in the way.
Right, the ones who continue. I can listen. I listening. So
I want to enjoy. I want to enjoy what you have to say.
Yeah, go ahead. What's the next one?
The last one. The last one is right. One of the talk show hosts was on earlier, right? It's okay. I think it's okay, Nuri. And we was talking about Ariane, the young girl who get killed, murdered, 12-year-old girl, about 2 years ago. And he was saying that, in other words, them like, man, them get 40 years, man, what more? He sounded like he was going as far as to saying that if we did kill him, we'll be just as bad as him who killed someone. So I was asking him, someone asked the question, but if that was your child, how you would have felt? So he sounded like he was saying he still was okay with it. So I said, well, what about when it comes down to defending your wife and your children? If you kill someone doing that, then he said he deserved to go to hell. So I was wondering if that's the right way to think, because I was thinking like if you defending your family and you end up killing somebody in God's sight, I mean, how God, that was the bottom line, what I'm trying to ask you, how God feel about it if we take somebody's life when we defending ourselves. And if he okay with us killing someone or hanging someone or executing someone who kill old people or little children, rape and kill them, I can hang up and listen. Thanks.
Sure. So great questions. On the first question of homosexuality, and you ask if practicing homosexuals will receive eternal life. So what's most important to recognize is that the behavior is the issue. All right? The behavior is the issue. And there are many different reasons why people choose to be homosexuals, right? There are psychiatrists today that would vouch for, or their research shows that a lot of people who choose to live that way have been through some type of sexual trauma, right? Does that make them a bad person? No, doesn't make them a bad person. However, nature has decreed that 2 men will never have children. 2 women will never have children because it does not want to proliferate that behavior through the genes, all right? So that behavior in and of itself is what nature deems abominable. It's an abomination. It will not be allowed to move into the next generation in that way. 2 men will not have children. 2 women will not have children. All right. Have there been homosexuals that have done great things on the earth? Of course there have been. And so their works will live on. Right? So eternal life comes by way of your children and or your works. All right? So there are some homosexuals who have done great works, but we will remember them for their works, not their homosexuality. You understand? And so I think it's important to just make sure that we're clear that the behavior is the issue more than the person. You understand? And then and we're going to talk more about this tomorrow, but when you begin to accept that behavior in the church, right? And again, I'm not saying the people, but the behavior, right? Because we in the Holy Catholic Church of the Black Messiah, we say, come as you are, so that you may become what you are destined to be. What is the highest potential that you have within you? All right, and so I'll leave that there. Now, with regards to defending yourself, I didn't hear the conversation between you and my good cousin C.A. Nuri. Now, I know my cousin K. I know he say things to rile you all up. So I'm not going to respond to what he said. I didn't hear what he said. However, 40 years is definitely not enough. And he should have received life, or he should have received the death penalty. I do not understand why, if we're absolutely sure that this is the person who did this horrific crime, why are we wasting time keeping him alive any longer than he needs to be alive? Once we've determined that he's guilty and the evidence shows such, because one of the issues I have with the death penalty is we could be executing the wrong person. And I know someone personally who was accused of murder, and we know it wasn't him. And so I'm afraid of saying, absolutely, let's just kill anybody who's brought to trial for murder. I mean, murder has degrees based on the intention. But this type of murder, where you kill a child and you rape a child, we don't need to be wasting time with you. You don't need to be wasting time with you. I have some other things I'd like to say, but I'm on the air. You understand? And I ain't even going to hypothetically say if it was my child, because I never ever want to have to be in that predicament. And y'all, this country don't want to see that side of me if it is my child. So I ain't even going there. All right? But I didn't hear a conversation between you and Nuri. But regard to defending yourself, how much people that Israel, the tribe of Israel in the book of Joshua, they gone through ravaging and killing people and moving them out of their land in the name of God? Huh? How many churches, the reason why many of us here in this country today is because the church said that they were Christianizing us and they were pulling us out of Africa and they were saving us from our savagery, is the lie that they tell us. In the name of God, the first boat was the good ship Jesus, that they brought us over here to the so-called New World. It wasn't new to us, it was new to them. They discovered it. We was already here. You understand? So we have to be careful now. Self-defense is self-preservation. You have it in your body. Anytime this type of conversation comes up, I move the conversation away from people and I move it to your body. You have what's called your immune system. You have some cells in there called white blood cells. That cells that keep you alive. And if anything crosses the path or that comes into your body, they don't come out your body and kill stuff, but if they come in, any foreign particle comes in your body, those cells kill, destroy, and make sure that they mark anything like it and kill it again if it comes back in. That's the nature of your immune system. And so within the African theology, we know as above, so below. And so our culture is our immune system. Our culture tells us who to live for, who to die for, and if it be necessary, who to kill for. All right? So that man who did that to that little girl, 40 years is a joke. I'll just leave that there. Let's go back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Call you live. As you caller, turn your radio down.
What?
Yeah, you could hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, turn your radio down. Listen to the phone.
No, my radio down.
Okay, I don't know why we're getting some feedback. Like I'm
You
hearing.
hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Doctor, I
Hey.
have a question.
Sure.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. In the in the Old Testament, okay,
Mm-hmm.
where they say the sons of God saw that the women on earth were so beautiful, and they came down and they chose whoever they wanted to take and marry. You know the story, right?
That's Genesis 6, yeah, verse 2. The sons of God saw that the
Okay,
daughters
all
of
right.
men that they were
okay,
fair.
Yeah. All right, let me go on, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to settle.
Yeah, you sat at the table. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Now, so did they get them pregnant? They had sex with them, according to the Bible. Get them pregnant. So the sons of God, they were angels, right?
Yes.
Now, in the New Testament, I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to hang with this on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
In the New Testament, the question was asked about the women who was married to the 7 brothers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And both of them died and left her without children, who was going to be her husband in the resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer was given to that person was that in the resurrection, so there was an error with what their thoughts were.
Mm-hmm.
So that resurrection, they would be as angels. They wouldn't be married nor given in marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So my question now back to Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Angels, and they were married, and they were going to marry them. And in the New Testament, there'll be angels, and they'll be married, or what is it? I'll hang up, and I'll listen to
So
you on
let
the
me
radio.
just make sure.
Clarify the point, please.
Now I just want to make sure I got the question clearly. So you asking about the reality of angels being able to impregnate women?
Yes.
Is that the gist of the question?
In the Old Testament, it's not. It was happening in the Old Testament, it's happening, but the New Testament, it was impossible.
Okay, I understand what you're asking. Okay.
Clarify, please.
Sure. So the 2 verses you referenced, the Old Testament verses is Genesis chapter 6, and then the New Testament would be Matthew 22, around verse, I think it's 23. I'm just looking for it right quick. All right. Okay. All right, so let's first go to Genesis 6. Let's be clear about that first, and then we'll jump to Matthew 22, verses 23 to 33. Okay, so first and foremost, in Genesis chapter 6, there were 2 groups of sons of God. So let's just first establish that. You had the first group, all right, it said, in Genesis 6 and 1, and it came to pass when men began to multiply in the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, right? That the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair. That word fair doesn't mean beautiful only in the sense of, like, some people would think fair skin. No, it's the word tob. It means agreeable. They were pleasant. They were agreeable, right? And they took them wives, all of which they chose. This word took, lachak, all right? They say it means to take in the widest variety of applications, right? Or accept, or to buy. So this was also a form of slavery, right? And so this first group of disagreeable sons of God, they were taking the wives, or taking the women as wives, right? The word they use for wives is the word nashim, right? And they say it could be the word wife or woman, right? Then in verse 3, it talks about the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Then it says in verse 4, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that. So the union of these disagreeable angels and that first group of women gave birth to giants, right? The word here for giants, they say Nephilim, right? And there were giants in the earth in those days. And then they say also after that, then they says there's another group, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men. Now they're not taking these women. They came in unto. So they're performing a ritual called the binding of the two flesh. They're respectfully wedding these women. And the children that they're giving birth to, right, they bear children to them. The same became mighty men. All right, this word mighty men, the Gibborim, this is where the word algebra comes from. These are the people who brought you math and science and agriculture and the high sciences, right? The Gibborim, all right? Their children became Gibborim, which were of old men of renown. This word renown is the word Shem. And it's talking about one who makes a name for themselves. So one of the men of renown was Nimrod. And Nimrod would have built these 5 cities in the Tigris-Euphrates area. And they were building and they were making a name for themselves. And they made a name for themselves all over this planet. They are remnants or what's the word I want? The ruins, right? The pyramids and the ziggurats and the hanging gardens. And they built all over the world, right? These men of renown. So these were indeed physical beings, right? These were not, I don't know what other way people would think angels would be able to impregnate a physical woman. That even goes back to the story of Mary and Gabriel. They say Gabriel, they say the Holy Spirit overshadowed Mary, but someone introduced a Y chromosome into the mix, right? And so there had to be some physical intercourse, all right? I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. Immaculate doesn't mean that there was no sexual intercourse. It just means that the type of sexual intercourse was within the bounds of what the Most High intended in order to bring forth a certain type of child, which is why the type of child, the Messiah, was born. All right? We're going to take a break here on Guardian Radio today, and then I'll jump back into Matthew 22, and then we'll take some more calls. It's an open line, but again, these are the questions people are asking, so we're going to jump on any question you ask today. My name is Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, also known as Kahun Anku Sarah. Back after this.
City of Miami Gardens presents JITG Music Fest. Janae Aiko, Ludacris, Ashanti, Nelly, Glorilla, LMA, Maya, Joe, D-Nice and Friends, featuring WV, Donnell Jones, Case, Sunshine Anderson, and Kenny Burns, Isley Brothers, El DeBarge, Stephanie Mills, and so many more. March 7th and 8th, Hard Rock Stadium. Tickets and info at jazzinthegardens.com. Jazzinthegardens.com.
Always on the go? Missed a show? You can now listen to Guardian Radio talk shows anytime, anywhere on Spotify and YouTube by searching Guardian Radio 96.9 FM or by entering the name of your favorite show. You can also listen by logging on to GuardianTalkRadio.com and clicking on the podcast tab. Guardian Radio, continuing to provide you with fresh news and smart talk anywhere, anytime, all day.
Put more money back in your pocket with the Fidelity Debt Consolidation Loan. Why pay more when you can pay less? Reduce your monthly debt payments down to one low, easy payment. Apply for a Fidelity Debt Consolidation Loan today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
For fast, reliable, and impactful printing services, look no further. Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life. We stand by our quality products that is second to none. Our affordable pricing and friendly, efficient staff makes Printmasters the ultimate choice for all your printing needs. We can deliver any type of printing services, from banners to booklets to business cards. You name it, we can print it.
Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Welcome back to Guardian Radio today with your host, Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Eunice III, also known as Kahunan Kusa Ra. It is an open line day today. Dr. Tinker was supposed to be with us today, but he had an emergency call he could not get away from, so we'll try to get him in next week. But it is an open line day. I want to finish answering a question before the break regarding whether angels were physical beings and how were they able to impregnate women in Genesis 6. Well, they definitely were physical because they were giving birth to physical beings. But in Matthew 22, to continue the conversation, around verse 25, it says, Now there were with us 7 brethren, and the first, when he had married a wife, deceased, and having no issue, left his wife unto his brother. Likewise the second also, and the third, and unto the 7th. And the last of all the women died also. Then it goes on to say, Therefore, in the resurrection, whose wife shall she be of the 7? For they all have had her. And Yahshua answered and said unto them, and this is what the issue is in many instances, it says, Ye do err, not knowing the scriptures, nor the power of the Most High. They have the word God there, right? But it's the Most High. For in the resurrection, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven, right? But as touching the resurrection of the dead, have ye not read that which was spoken unto you by God, saying, I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living, right? I think the confusion in this particular story, if you will, the parable, is this idea of resurrection, right? This word resurrection in the Greek, right, anastasis, it means a standing up again, all right? That's important because the resurrection is not talking about dead people coming back to life. It's talking about, well, it is, but it's talking about mentally dead people coming back to life or back to their consciousness or regaining the mind of Christ, as they talk about in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verses 14 through 16. We have the mind of Christ. Because many of us don't read scripture from a perspective of seeing it from the languages and also seeing it from the perspective of who it was actually given from. All right, this book of Matthew is a book that was written in Aramaic. It wasn't written in Greek. All right, there's an author by the name of Bart Ehrman that talks about this. In fact, they call this book of Matthew, or what we know as Ma'athu, in the scholarly world, if you will, right? They talk about this as the book of the Nazarenes because they say these were the Christian Jews. These were the Christians or the Jews who stayed closest to the laws, and they call this the book of the Nazarenes, right? It's again I'm using Bart Ehrman as a reference. He's a white man. The white man said it probably is true because that's how many of us think. We have the book of the Nazarenes in the Holy Coptic Church, but if I say the black people have it, y'all gonna look at me crazy. So the white people have a book called the Book of the Nazarenes, and they reference many of these verses that are in the book of Matthew, in the book of the Nazarenes. All right? They didn't give in marriage because we didn't get married. We had the binding of the two flesh, right? The idea of being married was not something that was actually looked upon as a good thing in every instance. If you go to the book of Matthew chapter 24, and they talk about the coming of the Son of Man, and they're saying that as the days of Noah, verse 37 of Matthew 24, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, when everybody was sinning, they were eating and drinking and what? Marrying and giving in marriage. So in this case, marriage and giving in marriage is not a good thing because we have defiled the covenant of the binding of the two flesh. All right. So ultimately, yes, it was talking about physical beings, and angel. The word angel means messenger. Right. I'll say this one last thing to further drive home my point. When you go to the book of Hebrews, right, and it talks about Hebrews 13, outside of verse 1, let brotherly love continue. But verse 2 says, be not forgetful to entertain, they say, strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. Okay? And in this instance, the word stranger, they say hospitableness, or be hospitable to those who you may not know, because you could be actually dealing with a messenger, all right, which is a physical being, all right? We'll talk more about it tomorrow. Let me just get some texts in here before I go back to the phone lines. Good afternoon. I've noticed on my daily walks through Twin Lakes that would be out Cable Beach, taking the back road from Super Value, all right, then making the first left. There are a few houses. Let's pull it up properly. There are a few houses through there, at least 3 to 4, that's still on temporary supply. And you can see that they've been built for quite a few years. Why are BPL not looking into this? And believe it or not, one of them is a 3-story that would be on the right with the government red plate. I think the situation should be looked into if the government is looking for funds to be collected. I don't know the situation, Dexter. Maybe the good people at BPL who are listening could look into it. But it is an open line, and that's what somebody wanted to share. So I can't speak to it. But thank you for texting in any event. Now the texter says, when I was talking about the Starlink, they say America is way more advanced than us. And even they have been seeing these things and know that this is not normal and not Starlink. They actually said in their news that aliens are real and could be arriving soon. If anyone keeps up with American news, they would know. But of course, media is trying to switch the narrative. We are in biblical end times. Yeah, I think it was Congress, if I'm not mistaken, that had a whole hearing on I don't know if they were calling them extraterrestrials, but they were definitely talking about what could be deemed as extraterrestrials. So I'm with you there, Texter. Let's see here. We do not know, next texter, we do not know what kind of DNA they got from Mr. Christopher Ferguson. We do not know if he used his phallus, if he used fingers. They are not letting us know. We don't understand. And they are not telling us why did they give him 40 years and not the death penalty. I only could believe maybe he did not use the phallus, but why did he kill her? I don't know the full facts, but if he is the man who unalived that young girl, yeah. He shouldn't be breathing too much longer. All right, let's go back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Call you live. Mm-hmm.
How you doing?
I'm great, man. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. Now the question still remains, whose wife shall she be?
Right.
Okay. Now, I think Jesus' answer was that they were in error because they don't know the scripture.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've heard you say this thing a couple of times. Does the Coptic Church, do they believe that, that some angel in some way impregnated Mary?
Yes, Gabriel. Yes, the man Gabriel. In the book of Daniel, chapter 9, verse 21, Gabriel is called the man Gabriel.
Yeah, but like the previous questioner, he took Matthew 22. He took Matthew 22 out of context and tried to marry those two, with the angel theory.
You mean Genesis 6 and Matthew 22? That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, our previous question, earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the guy asked, who Jesus came to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we are remiss in all understanding that at the time, the church, as we know it, the priests and the governors and all the Jewish leaders, they were on the side of Rome.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, even though Jesus came to his people, all of his people were not on his side.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
I mean, is that something? Is that something that you
Yeah, we definitely agree with that, because that's why he said he came under his own and his own received him not. Those who didn't receive him, they were the ones who would have been considered mentally dead. They were the mentally dead. They were the ones who didn't see. Just like, yeah.
Even at the time,
mm-hmm.
all of the Herods were Jews also.
Mm-hmm. They were Hellenistic Jews, though. They were Hellenistic Jews. They were not the tribe of Judah.
Anyway, interesting conversation.
Yeah. And to jump back on the conversation, you said, whose wife would she be? That supposes that the heaven that they're discussing is a real place. All right? That you're going to die and wake up in a heaven as yourself. I mean, there's no proof of that. That's not what heaven was to the Messiah. The kingdom of heaven is within, in Luke 17:21. So each one of those men were her husband when they were her husband. That's basically what he was saying. And so when we talk about heaven and we talk about going to some magical place, that's what the Hellenists were discussing, because that's what they want to keep over our heads, to keep us following them into their hell, which is Hellenism or Greco-Roman religion and way of life and traditions, which keeps us down. We're going to run to the break here on Guardian Radio today. We have to get to the news, and we have to pay some bills. We'll get back to the calls and the texts. It's an open line today. My name again is Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, also known as Kahun Anku Sarah. We're back after this.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM.
And we're back here on Guardian Radio today with your host, Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, also known as Kahun Anku Sarah. It is an open line, and we've been talking about the Bible. We've been talking about UFOs. We've been talking about electricity, temporary electricity to homes, a lot of different things coming across our desk today. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, the Family Violence, 242-300-5720. That's toll free. And, of course, the text line is open, and it's 422-4796. So the case that we were discussing earlier, the animal that killed that little girl, they said it was a plea deal. According to the National Security Minister, once you plead guilty, they automatically deduct 1/3 of your potential sentence. So ideally, he should have gotten, 120 years? That would have been life. But yeah, it is what it is. That's what the law says. Uncle, if there's no heaven, is there a hell? If not, what's the point of doing good? I'm not saying there's no heaven. I'm saying the way that we have been talking about heaven, right? We just talked about Matthew 22, where unfortunately we err because we don't know the scriptures. We don't read the scriptures from a linguistic perspective, right? The word heaven in the New Testament is the word Oranos. And they talk about Oranos, they talk about Pleiades, they talk about Orion, right? They talk about Mazzaroth, right? They talk about these different constellations, all right? And every time they would reference heaven, they would talk more so about Orion. But this Orion constellation, actually, it lines up with the Giza Plateau in Egypt. or what is being called Egypt today, originally was Kemet or Tamaret. And so when we said, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, the way that constellation is seen in the sky is exactly how it is placed on the ground. Those pyramids on the Giza Plateau at one point aligned with those 3 stars in what they call the Orion's belt. Al-Linam, Al-Nitak, and Mintaka, those 3 stars. And so heaven is a physical place for us. We're supposed to be living in a land where we control our own destiny. That is heaven. When you live in a land where others control your destiny and you speak their language and you spend their money and you eat their food and you listen to their music, that is hell. So essentially, we are in hell already. So when you ask about doing good, do the good that is necessary to ultimately bring heaven to earth for you as a people, right? But we'll do a whole show on it. All right. I just wanted to touch on it since you brought it up. Also, with regard to the hearings on the UFOs in 2025, they had they call it the details of the 2025 UAP hearing. All right. The Task Force on the Declassification of Federal Secrets, part of the House Oversight and Accountability Committee. The panel featured 5 key witnesses, including military veterans and veteran journalists. Jeffrey Nucatelli, U.S. Air Force veteran, who testified about a UAP incidents at Vandenberg Air Force Base. You had Alexandra Wiggins, U.S. Navy Senior Chief Petty Officer, who described a self-luminous, tic-tac-shaped object emerging from the ocean. Dylan Borland, a U.S. Air Force veteran, who detailed seeing a large silent triangular craft at Langley Air Force Base in 2012. You had George Knapp, investigative journalist known for long-term reporting of UAP secrets. And you had Joe Spielberger, a senior policy counsel at the Project on Government Oversight. And they were all given evidence, and they were trying to make this information more readily available to the public. So, Dexter, I hear you. And I don't disagree with you. I know that's what they can say. They can say it's Starlink. But if you have proof otherwise, please send it to us. Let's run back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Caller, you live.
Yes, sir. Good day.
Good day, my brother. How are you?
And, I'm giving thanks for life.
Sure.
How do you see the Bible? Is it a history book or is it like an encyclopedia for you?
The Bible the word Bible is the word papyrus. And these were the records of the Nile Valley River, as well as the Sumerian Tigris-Euphrates, as well as the Niger Delta region. These were stories that we kept for our purposes as an indigenous people on the planet. It didn't become the Bible until it was necessary to gather all of these people who had been scattered and bring them back together at one. And so the book we had to take portions from the Niger River Valley, the Nile River Valley, the Tigris-Euphrates Valley, and we had to put those stories, if you will, or those records together. So
like
that
a history book, you're saying?
Not just a history book, but it's a book that actually gives us a blueprint. It helps us to retrace the past, to blueprint the present in order to foretell the future. So
is it to you for us to choose right from wrong, or is it?
Well, we first have to establish right from wrong. We have to discern good and evil
From this Bible.
The Bible is a tool that allows for us to see what we have done as a people when we're reading it in its original context. Unfortunately, the chain of custody has been infiltrated. So the Greeks and the Romans and the Hindus have gotten their hands on the books, and they have told us that our records, they say they're not a part of the canon. They're not a part of the law, right? But you have hundreds of thousands of scrolls or books or papyrus in Mali that are being unearthed, that people had to hide because they were going to destroy them. And now those books are going to assist us in having a better understanding of how we lived. And that'll be
the reason I asked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of what's going on today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the news of the day, the articles of the day, in the journals of the day. You know, and how they conflict with each other, right? And then us as, or I say you as a biblical scholar, and then you with a political or a geopolitical view, with or conviction. You know how you know, and you know there are many, you know, that have this conviction, but they choose sides. You know, they choose one that say that one is right and one is wrong. You know, and then they put religion in it there. You know what I mean? According to their religion, this one is right and the other is wrong. You know, and they like it's like they choose. Let me just say it, they choose the U.S. over China, and they says, well, China is evil, and you know.
Right, I understand.
And
Scripture,
the U.S. is righteous.
Scripture makes it very clear. Revelation chapter 18, verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues." So the people that this book was talking to were being told to come out of her, not to pick sides, but to actually go back, as it talks about in the book of Genesis chapter 15, where it says you will go to your fathers in a good old age. You were supposed to go back to where we were actually snatched from originally. And
so who do you serve? I mean,
we serve the Most High.
I know of Christians, right? That they are afraid. They can't use their phone. They can't even research on their phone things that would because they have family in the United States, or you know what I'm saying, studying or living in the life, or they afraid of them traveling, that they would lose their visa and thing, but they call themselves Christian and obedient to God. It's like they worship God or serve. I mean, they worship the United States or China or wherever it may be. You know, well, they're afraid. Even they're afraid to speak the truth to the local power, who have higher power over them. That financial power, and you know what I mean. That millionaire or billionaire, afraid to speak the truth on them. You know, but yet they're going to tell us about what we're doing. I mean, and the way we living. You know what I mean. The way we live in our lives is wrong. But what about them? You know what I'm saying? The choices they're making. I mean, how do you address that? I mean, we see it every day. You see, we have people who is above the law. They're like they're above the laws of God. Like no matter what they do, as long as they can pay.
The wages of sin is death. The bottom line, the wages of sin is death. There's a way that seems right unto man, and its ways lead unto death. Proverbs 14:12. So at the end of the day, if your society collectively is crumbling, see, we tend to often focus on individuals as opposed to understanding that all of these individuals make up a collective. And if the collective chooses to live a way of life that leads unto death, then that it makes the conditions conducive in a society for death to be the norm. And that's what's taking place in our society today.
You know,
death is the norm.
I look at it, right? You know, I mean, I'd like for you to expound on this here, okay? These are sentiments. You have, like, would you say that the intellects of Africa, or the leaders of Africa, especially those on the coast, on that west coast, was the ones who was able to sell us into slavery? I mean, sell us to the Europeans. I mean, and then those same people are leaders today, and still are selling us into the colonial system of today. Would you say that's correct? The same leaders.
I say,
they were educated. They are the educated ones. They go to school, the school of the masters in the U.S. and the U.K. and the like. They even have these same schools here and teach the same curriculum here.
Well, let me ask you this. One of the first countries to receive independence in West Africa was Ghana. Kwame Nkrumah. He went to the U.S. He was educated partly in the U.S., but he came back to help to lift the bondages of slavery off of not only the Ghanaian people, but he brought forth a Pan-African message, right?
Right.
So there were leaders who, even to this day, are trying to bring forth a message that says that Africa needs to do for Africa. The problem comes in when the people now who have not bought in to the message of such leaders, their overriding actions cause people like Kwame Nkrumah to be assassinated.
Right. See, this is what I'm saying. Okay. These are the leaders to me who gave their life for the right. But we have leaders today who are not. They're afraid. You know,
well, people get the leader that they ultimately require. You're gonna have the type of leader that you require. A leader gets a people that he inspires. That's the reality. So if the people all the leaders coming out of the people, if the people don't want to change their ways and to actually make make themselves better as individuals. If we don't have an individual reality whereby we choose to make ourselves better, our leaders can't get better because our leaders have to capitulate to the nonsense that we want. That's why you watching people get on the rally stage and talk a bunch of stupidness while we are suffering in this country, because you know what? That's what you want. Not you personally, but that's what the people want. They want you to get up there and dance and all kind of nonsense, because if they don't do it, they can follow the people who doing what they want them to do. So the leaders following us in many instances. In many instances, they run ahead of us to make it seem as if it's their idea. But if we chose to make the leaders do exactly what we wanted them to do by actually doing it first, they would have no choice. There are many leaders who look at the people and say, well, I want to do different, but this is what the people want. And so the problem starts with the electorate, in my opinion. I always say the biggest issue in this country is not so much the leadership, but the electorate. The electorate has to change. The electorate has to stop doing foolishness and then expecting someone to save them. That's the problem. Let's run back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Call you live.
Uncle, how you doing?
Great, man.
Yeah, glad to segue into that. That's what I was calling to speak about.
Good.
The vacuous performance that came last night from those that's in charge of the economy.
Right.
And I'm very, very concerned. You know, let's talk, for instance, right? You know why I'm concerned? Because they are so out of ideas. Do you know, listening last night, I heard them borrowed ideas from the other two opposition parties.
Wow.
They moved in to take possession of the opportunity and ownership economy of Michael Pintat and the delusional promises of Lincoln Dean. You know, so just use an example. We're going to have an ownership economy. Right. Here's the people that drove the car for 4.5 years saying that you'll own chain of restaurants, chains of hotels, chains of these things, right? Chains of bus fleets and ever. But did they put 1, 2, 10, 100 people into the bed and breakfast business during their term? Did they?
Great question.
The fleet of buses. Did they put the 60,000 people in homes that they want? Did they start businesses? You know, the Prime Minister found out last week that there's this thing called AI. You know, when he spoke at the act. You know,
right.
No, he did. It's all of a sudden now he uses even in his speech. You know, but you know, for someone that's been in the AI business for 30 years, right?
Yeah.
Using it. The fact is that he have no understanding of the infrastructural needs of this equipment.
Wow.
So we suffer from a digital divide. We suffer from an infrastructure that's necessary for it. The most important thing is we are suffering from the lack of information on the energy, because AI is 90% energy. This is not new. This is something people heard me talk for 12 years, saying we must get the energy right, because something is coming that we will have to deal with.
Yeah.
And so the problem is we have to be careful of people who are good with oracle skills, who can borrow things to say, but when questioned as to tell us how you will achieve this. So here's a government that 82% of its blueprint for change has yet to be achieved. See, now, you can't say he's barely started. You know, that's like, you're about to jump across a 10-foot ditch, and you go 8 feet, and people say, at least he did pretty good. He tried. But the failure of getting a completely across 10 feet is dead.
Yeah.
Okay? And this is the problem we have. And you talk about getting the people, getting the leadership we need.
Mm-hmm.
We are not getting it because we have not demanded it.
Exactly.
And that's because we have not educated ourselves and informed ourselves in this age of information of the things that is necessary. So you have tourism went to AI about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And do you know, I challenge some people to go to the tourism site and ask them questions. And the AI on the tourism site is hallucinating. It's making up. See, when you understand, do you know AI can never tell you you're wrong?
I guess
never.
It's going to tell you what you wanted to say.
What you want to hear. No one can tell AI to tell me when I'm wrong. AI will talk around it. So this is what happens is that when you depend on AI, when you use the technology, the problem is people have heard me for 20 years say the Bahamas is the most digitally prepared country in the world. And the National Guardian carried a story somewhere in 2021, December or something. But the thing about it is digital preparedness is not digital utilization. And people who is in leadership have to understand their job is to lead, not do everything. And so when we do it,
I'm with you. I'm listening.
So what we have to do is we have to find those among us that knows the pathway to where we need to be. Because, people talk about envisioning the future. But someone that is actively involved in the future, you can't see the future. You can see a future, but you have to experience the future you build.
Right.
Because the future is built, not dreamed about or whatever. And so, it's many things many of us in the technology field see, but we only experience those we build. And so the Bahamas has to now make a decision on the competence of leadership, because if we miss this AI window that we already missed 3 years plus of governance from a government that did not know it exists until last week, that we will be in a quagmire of perpetual downgrade, considering that we are $1.2 billion in the red just for this year alone.
Wow.
And so, and I challenge, I don't want the talking heads. I want Michael Alcides or Brave Davis to tell me I'm wrong. And that's in counting the deficit, that's counting and that probably can't even account for all of the off-book loans that the government has have. And the question is,
off-book loans? They have off-book loans?
We're ending this. We seem to be preparing for an early election. The Prime Minister was given a 5-year term. He's quitting where he's only completed like 20% of the job or 25% of the job and demanding that we give him 5 more years to do what? Finish the job, or is it to do something new? And that's the question he has not answered, nor his leadership. But until there's many amongst us, and I'm not the only person, I'm just the loudest one, right, that understand the path forward for this country. But they have been excluded, and we have to ask, why have they in the past been excluded? And are we going to choose leadership that recognizes the collective intelligence of some of us will never be superior to the collective intelligence of all of us?
Amen, amen, amen. So I had to cut you there. We got some calls we're trying to get through. But see, Alan, we've been hearing you talk about this AI, like you say, for many years. And you said they ain't learned about it until last week. See, now, I'm sure they would try to dispute that. But at the end of the day, as we grow as a nation, as we decide our future as a nation, right, we as the electorate have to make some decisions on how we're going to govern ourselves so that the government sees a responsibility in following suit, as opposed to just us living in chaos and they riding on the chaos. All right, let's run back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Call you live.
Uncle, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Right here, my brother.
Great.
I'm just going to make one very quick statement and then open the lines for other people calling. These launches and these rallies, listen, I want them to try remove the alcohol, the food, and the music.
Wow.
And just allow the message to be given. Let's see how many persons who attended actually listen to the message being given and can actually articulate
Right.
with some sort of accuracy what they heard and try to apply it to what is happening in real time.
Wow.
That's all I want.
Right.
And that alone will prove whether persons are only there for the alcohol, music, and rum, and food, or actually they there to hear the message and is able to articulate what they heard with some great understanding that they understand or that they understood what the primary focus is going to be in moving this country forward. That's all I have to say on it. Thanks.
I appreciate that. The whole party atmosphere, well, let's call it party, right? But the whole party atmosphere is what causes people to gravitate towards those events. And I can understand the caller. It seems a bit disingenuous when you are looking at a country that's struggling, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the amount of money they put toward these launches and toward these ratifications. I mean, there's a lot of money that's spent. But people hating. You understand what I'm saying? So I hear what the caller is saying. Let's go back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Caller, you live.
Uncle.
How you doing, man?
Okay. I want you to tell C. Allen. Pentad and Stans got fired from the same job 4 years ago that they're trying to apply to get back.
Okay. So they shouldn't even be in the mix is what you're saying. They should have someone else.
Because they trying the same job, but they quit. They got back for 5 more years. They trying to apply for the same job. They got fired 4 years ago for the same job, and they want it back.
So you don't think?
All right. So
you don't think? So you? I just want to be
about?
clear with what you're saying. So you saying once you lose, after you've tried, you should just quit. That's what you're saying.
Well, he's paying for the government after 5 more years.
Right.
But he applying for the same job.
Right.
So why complain for the government? They are for next 5. So why
Right.
are you complaining? You want the same job. You got fired from 4 years ago. You want your job back.
Right.
So why are you complaining?
Well, Minnis was in charge though.
Well, you got fired. He was there. They was on the team.
Yeah, but Minnis was the prime minister. Pindad wasn't the prime minister.
But the people fired him.
But they fired Minnis. They didn't fire
They
Pindad.
fired they fired all them.
Yeah, but Minnis was at the helm. And if you
He was
if you get catching an avalanche, then
you're gone. You try to get your job back.
but they made it. They actually won their seats. Minnis lost. Minnis won his seat too, but the majority of them lost their seat, which is why there's the opposition.
You got fired. Yeah, you lose your job. Somebody get the job. Just like if you had a woman, you lose your woman. Somebody else got you can't get about
What about the people who say they stand there in the spirit of Lyndon Pinland? Pinland was fighting for a long time before he was able to become the prime minister. Hubert Ingram, and the FNM, they fought for a long time before they became the government, right? What about that spirit?
You know what I understand. I'm saying what I'm talking about. C. Allen, he complaining, but if you should not complain.
Don't complain. What he should do? Help me. What he should do? He should just focus on what? What should he focus on?
Focus on trying to get a job. And don't complain about it. I try to get a sales job and be fellas won't. That's fine. Why would something and I want a job?
Okay.
I still don't complain, nobody.
Don't complain. Okay. All right. Thank you, Bob. 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259, the Family of Violence, 242-300-5720. Let's see what the text saying. Good day, sir. Have you ever read the Good News Bible? Today's English version. Read Exodus 20, verses 1 to 17. This is what sin is, breaking God's law. And he would be referring to the 10 Commandments. And I have read it before. And I agree with you. It does speak with it talks about those things that we should be doing in order to not live a sinful life. However, this is only a part of the story with regard to what we should and shouldn't be doing, because there was 613 commandments, and then before that you had the 42 laws of Ma'at, and we know that Moses knew about the 42 laws of Ma'at because in Acts chapter 7 verse 22. It said that Moses was learning all of the wisdom of the Egyptians. Part of that wisdom would have been the laws of Ma'at. So thank you for your text. Texas says the PM spewed nothing but hot air and rhetoric while reminding us that he did nothing substantial since COVID. Oh boy. Well, we in that time. We in that time. I didn't get to listen last night, but I did. You know, I did catch up this morning. So I hear y'all. Let's go back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Call you live.
Enos.
How you doing, sir?
Wonderful. You know, there's so many different stories about this Genesis 6 and 2 and about the angel.
Mm-hmm.
So many stories on that.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I see it, maybe that was never no angel that, how people say, come down from heaven and went with the daughters. No.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we read and we understand what really happened, those fallen angels that what we call disobey and Jude, if they were chained in darkness, then how could these angels, same angels, went with women? See, some people say they was an offspring of Seth.
Mm-hmm.
Then some say, because when we look at it, the sons of God, we look at it, Adam was the first man that called the son of God.
Mm-hmm.
You understand me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and you look in Luke chapter 3 and 38, Adam was the first man that called the son of God. Most people don't even understand that sometimes even us, we are the sons of God.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that was no angel. Angel wasn't there having no sex with no woman.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I hear somebody said my next laptop it is going to the rally and stuff like that. Every rally you go to, don't care which round the world you go to, you're gonna have eats and different things and drinks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on what they going for. I can eat something and stuff like that and listen to the message that whatever they is saying, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you call that when you're going out to these rallies, you just going to for a little fun and meeting people and hearing what whoever on the stage they have to say. That's how I see it.
So you don't agree with the last caller that they should have, even if they don't do all like that, they should have maybe some rallies where, okay, ain't no food, no drinks, we doing business.
But Pastor Ina, that even a little business for other people
mm-hmm.
who even coming to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Because those people up on the stage, they ain't selling, but you get people, they may come sell the little chicken wing, the little fritters and the little whatever and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that can benefit, that's a little business for them also. So, you know, I won't try to strike everything out, make everything so bored and stuff like that over.
Yeah.
Make sure no drinks around here, no food around here. Come on, man. That's sometimes that look like punishment, man. You're trying to punish somebody.
You gotta have a little something to drink and little something to eat to pass the time.
Huh?
You're saying you gotta have a little something to eat and something to drink to pass the
man,
time.
You stand up there 2 hours and seem like that. Come on.
But do you think the people are getting the message? Do you think the people are leaving there with a message, or they just leaving there with a good time?
I see some will be grafting in, some will be grafting the message in, and then some are just going just to bull skate around and stuff like that to make up the number. But you can't just strike everything out and stuff like that. You know, you gotta have a little food around there, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But don't care how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have it there, people gonna bring their food and stuff like that.
Ah, okay.
You understand me?
I bet you. Thank you so much for the call, man. We're gonna run to a break here, and then we're gonna jump back on the phone lines. We got a couple of texts that came through, so be patient, and we'll get to you as soon as we can. Keep it locked.
Well, gal, can you believe this? We are now the patrol queens of the neighborhood.
We now large and in charge. So we need to check out what's going on in everybody's yard. What about that gun that we know that Junior and his homeboys just ran out? Can we report that too?
Of course we can.
But we could be in deep trouble if they find out.
We need to report what we see, Beulah. When you call Crime Stoppers, they just answer your call in Miami.
So then we can report everything? Guns, where they hiding the drugs, who shoot who part of which gang, or who disturbing the peace with the loud music and the motorcycles.
Then our neighborhood will be the best in the Bahamas, and everybody gonna want to come live here. And then our house price will go up, gal.
So what we waiting on? What's the number?
If you see something, say something. Let us all pitch in and stop the crime before it's your time. Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands. Or text us through the Crack Crime Bahamas app. Stop the crime before it's your time.
For fast, reliable, and impactful printing services, look no further. Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life. We stand by our quality products that is second to none. Our affordable pricing and friendly, efficient staff makes Printmasters the ultimate choice for all your printing needs. We can deliver any type of printing services, from banners to booklets to business cards. You name it, we can print it.
Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Always on the go? Missed the show? You can now listen to Guardian Radio talk shows anytime, anywhere on Spotify and YouTube by searching Guardian Radio 96.9 FM or by entering the name of your favorite show. You can also listen by logging on to GuardianTalkRadio.com and clicking on the cast tab. Guardian Radio, continuing to provide you with fresh news and smart talk anywhere, anytime, all day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
And we're back here on Guardian Radio today with your host, Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, also known as Kahun Anku Sarah. It's an open line, and we've been having a great discussion today. In response to the last caller, he was talking about the story in Genesis chapter 6. And one of the things I just want to make clear to our listeners is that the reason why the Bible seems to be as confusing as it has become, one of the reasons is because we're not reading it in the order it was revealed in, right? So, for example, the book of Job is before the book of Genesis, right? And then when you talk about Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, they're coming out of a greater writing called the Shabbat Stone, right? And so the problem is that someone has stepped in and they've reordered, and they admit this. This is not something I'm making up. You can Google it. But they tell you when these books were revealed, and that's a part of the confusion. The book of Enoch touches on these sons of God and how Enoch, who in one instance he's referred to as Enoch, and then in another instance is a group of people called Enoch or Hanuk. All right. And they were shown the heavens. They were taken into the heavens, or shown the heavens, and these Nephilim and stuff like that. So a lot of the confusion comes from the fact that the books have been hijacked and they've been literally put out of the order. Same thing with the Quran. They don't have it in the order that it was revealed in, and that's the problem. All right. This text says, Uncle, to be real, the language C. Allen talking, none of these parties showing it. Especially the one leader he campaigned for. A ship divided cannot stand. All right, Texto. The caller was correct. Let me see. Let me make sure I didn't miss. Uncle don't even feel like talking today, man. That's because psychology is steeped or ingrained into politics, and most pathetic souls can't see behind these psyops operations on the run-up to the elections. But politicians are very much delusional. The caller was correct. He shares the idea that we are the sons of God, the son of man. Man phrase was misused by the status quo religious groups. Son of man simply means what it says, the sons of man, men. Yeah, the book of Psalm 82, verse 6, all of you are gods and all of you are children of the Most High. It's right there. Let's go back to the phone lines. Caller, you're live.
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing, Alvin?
Yes, good afternoon, man. But how are you doing, man?
Radio William, man. How about you?
Same here, bro. One day at a time. You know how it is.
Every day. But so, I caught up there. You were talking with someone about going to the rallies and not having eats and drinks, right?
Yeah, one caller said they should just have no food, no alcohol. Now, I don't know if the political bodies bring alcohol, but I mean, people bring their own alcohol, right? So I don't know, but they say if we could get rid of that, what you think about that?
Let me add, right, before I get into what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Could you add this to your thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Could you picture adding the class of persons who attend rallies and associating with them that they actually need to have that in their drink in order to listen to some of these?
It's essentially.
And I'm not calling no names on nobody, right? But I'm just saying, sometimes you may need a little drink
to hear properly.
in order to listen.
Listen, all right.
So the rally is an energized environment, and, and in that energized environment, you need people to be comfortable in order for them to give you their attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I think gone are the days, frankly speaking, Uncle, where you have people out on the campaign trail, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't feed people properly. You don't quench people's thirst by offering them some water or something healthy to drink.
Right.
Where you're working people like mules or like slaves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not treating them like decent human beings.
Right.
I think we have long passed that time in this country, and we have to treat people decently and respectfully when they're giving of themselves and of their time and their talents.
Right.
In your to aid you in your efforts to become the representative, right?
Right.
And then like it was one of the shows earlier. I don't remember who, right? But right on the Guardian about Barbados Prime Minister, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Prime Minister Mockley, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they were saying that she's bringing a bill to her parliament, or to their parliament rather, that no one can cross the floor after a certain point, right?
I saw that. Mm-hmm.
And they thought that was fair, but in my thinking, there should be a provision where the only way you can cross the floor is if you go back to those senior people, almost like in an election style, right?
Yeah. Or even get a petition. You got to petition them at least.
And you get the majority of votes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's no equity in what we're doing in Parliament from that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Because people could take your vote and go in whatever direction they want.
That's right.
That is completely selfish.
Hey, Anton,
Not
even on Facebook, if you start a group and you have all the people join the group, and let's say you make the group for people who like bread, and then after you got 1,000 people, you switch it to say people who like Kool-Aid. Facebook don't let you do that. They say, no, you can't do that.
So there's a model.
Yes.
Boy, as much chaos as there is on Facebook, I'm totally shocked by that.
Yeah, you can't just change the name. You gotta alert people like the group of this, the name of this group changing, because you'll be in a group. Yes.
Right. And so let me ask you, Uncle, because you're the host and you're bringing the conversation to people. But I heard you said that you didn't pay attention last night, right? But you caught up today.
Yeah, as much as I could.
What was your viewpoint on what you caught up?
I mean, like you said, it's an energized event, right? I was, what caught my eye was what the Deputy Prime Minister said with regard to owning the economy, right? So that I stopped and I paused to read some of what he was saying was on the way if they were to win again. I think it's a great thing to say. You know what I mean? And if it can happen, beautiful. Yeah, but that's what stood out for me. That's what stood out for me. That's what stood out for me.
Uncle, I could say a lot, but I don't think the timing is right for me to say what I've been observing from the conversation surrounding the candidate now for the opposition in Garden Hills to the candidacies and the persons who receive the candidacies the PLP side and the FNM side, right down to the rallies, the various rallies that has been going on, right? I've been observing a lot, and over the last several months, I've not been commenting as much.
But we can hold off on it because I want to do a show around that. I want dive into that properly. You know, So don't do it today. Let's look. Perhaps next week sometime.
Right, perhaps you could give a pre-announcement. So
I can try. That's I want to say for next Tuesday. We could kind of aim it around. I trying to save Tuesdays more for kind of the political talk, and then Wednesdays, it was more the religion. But feel free on Tuesday to call in early and let's dive into that.
We have a lot to talk about. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, my brother. Thank you so much. A lot of callers here on the board. Let's get to them. Call you live.
Yes, good afternoon, Dr. Anku.
Hey, good afternoon, bro. How you doing, man?
All right. A couple of quick, I could try one quick. You talking about the UFO and stuff earlier, right? I mean, I don't.
Did you see it last night? Did you see those lights in the sky last night?
No, I wasn't able to observe it.
Yeah, it was something else.
But the thing about it is that even though you were told what it was, I believe you still don't know what it was.
You're absolutely correct. I don't know what it was. All I see, because my wife and I, while we were driving, like we took a picture and then we was researching and stuff, and they was like, "Oh, that's just the Starlink," and I say, we give each other that look, like.
Yeah, we should know that when you get.
Yeah.
You know what the time it is.
Yeah.
But Ronald Reagan, when he was president of America, had said something decades ago about an alien invasion and how it could be used to unite mankind. You understand? Coming from, and I mean, an all-time, for decades they've been talking about be prepared for a hoax, alien invasion, and Project Bluebeam and stuff like that. So and how I believe how the Earth is constructed. I don't believe in no UFOs. So
right.
To me, whenever I see it, that's what Ronald Reagan was talking about from back then. The false, false flag, and that's why they're trying to talk about it so much, hype it up. Because I hear you. Like they're trying to prime people for it.
Yeah, I hear you.
But Gabby, I must give Gabby props. Yesterday on a show, she was talking about religion from a perspective that is not really heard in our country, right? Questioning it. You understand where I come from? Questioning it, because we should be able to question it, right?
Of course.
Because where it came from, how we got it. She was talking about where it came from, how could we trust it, more or less like on that line, right? And there's an individual called. He said he used to be a history teacher, if I'm not mistaken, and he's passionate about the constituency allowance, so he might know who I'm talking about. And he was like, it's like he didn't even hear anything she said. You understand? Like he went straight to the indoctrination. But what I want to ask him is that as a history teacher, right, where in his history teaching did Moses part the Red Sea?
Right.
You understand? Where in history did Joshua bring down Jericho wall?
Right.
Where in history does that come up? Because I'm sure that he knows that there's something called biblical history and there's something called real history. There's a difference. And to me, it bothers me when intelligent people just dismiss all of their senses for religion and accept things that they know is foolishness. Because when you look at the Bible, right, we all know what the process is for a woman to have a child.
Yep.
Right. We know that it's impossible for certain things in the Bible to actually be a reality, right? But we believe these things, even though we know these things to be impossible. Had it not been for the Bible that these stories are written, we'd laugh at them.
But let's look at it in reality. Imagine your wife or your significant other come to you and say, "Oh, the Holy Spirit overshadowed me, and I missed my period."
Nobody
I don't care how much a Christian you is, and you be like, no.
Nobody would accept it. Even if you used to keep her locked up in the house all day long, and nobody, you still wouldn't believe her.
No.
You understand where I come from?
And there's a boy too. Where the Y chromosome come from? Right.
Yeah, to me, it's absolutely ridiculous. And furthermore, too, like the Bible, like I said, I appreciate Gabby's perspective yesterday because she was questioning where it came from, how we got it, etc. Right? And when you read the Bible too, right, the whole thing of the conquest, how God had his chosen people going around taking people land and stuff, right? The promised land. I mean, listen, he was God, he was the creator of the world, right? I mean, if you have a place preserve these people, I mean, you couldn't have a place, some sacred holy land somewhere, so they just
you could have hide it,
full of fruits or whatever. And instead, you got to go take land of people who supposed to be pagans.
Right.
Like that sounds like what the Europeans been doing to us. It sounds as if the Bible is justifying that type of action.
There you go.
In reality, that's nonsense, man. And I mean, not only that, when you read about the acts of violence that they were perpetuating on the people who they were conquering, it just defines our oppressor to the T.
Exactly. And sorry I had to cut you. I won't get to these last two calls, and tomorrow we can talk more religion and stuff like that. But I agree with you, caller. It is definitely justifying what we have seen of the Europeans and them, the conquest of indigenous people. Caller, you live. Caller going once. I see we got a couple more calls and we got a couple more minutes. So you're trying to get everybody in. Caller, you live.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing, man?
What's it, dog?
Everything cool, bros. What's going on?
Everything good?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but I call in, right, concerning something what I heard Papa was trying to find out. He's trying to, at least he was asking you, what about if a person die, a person kill a person, another person?
Defendant.
Would they go to heaven too?
Yes, of course you can go to heaven.
Right.
Let me tell you why. Let me give you the ultimate reason why. Who gave the people of Israel the 10 Commandments?
What was this?
Was he a murderer?
No.
He was a murderer.
Oh, yeah.
The person who gave you the commandment, thou shalt not kill, was a murderer.
Then he killed the Egyptians.
All right, then.
Yeah.
So why
but
not?
He did it in self-defense. Yeah.
So the person who gave you the commandment that say thou shalt not kill was a murderer.
Right.
All right, then.
But another thing, too. Remember that the Lord even said, if you kill an innocent man, then you deserve to die too.
Yeah, they say eye for eye, tooth for tooth.
I know I gave it the eye for eye and tooth for tooth. I think it is in Deuteronomy.
Okay.
I think it is in Numbers, I believe. Numbers. It's Numbers where he was giving them some rules and regulations and how if you kill a person and you did it innocently, then they will turn you over to you will go to, I think, a priest.
So Jeremiah 26:15, but know ye, it's several places, Deuteronomy, Exodus, Proverbs, but they say, but know ye for certain that if ye put me to death, ye shall surely bring innocent blood upon yourselves and upon this city and upon the inhabitants thereof. Then Deuteronomy 27:25, cursed be he that taketh reward to slay an innocent person, and all the people shall say amen. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what they're trying to get to. And he did said, if you obey the law of the land says if you take a man's life, then your life should be taken too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But another thing what I want to ask you, I heard you said this, and I need you to help me with when you say this, what you mean. You said that we are hurting. We are hurting in this nation.
Yes.
But when you say we are hurting, what do you mean by that?
Every day, just an example. Every day I have someone begging me for coins or whatever I could give them. Every day I pass at least 2 or 3 people who are asking for me. That's the ones who bold enough to beg. That ain't the ones who suffering in silence. You understand? I watching people sleep on the sidewalk in the bus stops every day. Okay? I watching people run generator. I watching people go to the well, to the water pump every day. We hating bad.
And because you see the people them going to the water pump, you see they hating.
Yo, they ain't gonna run in water in the house.
I beg to differ.
Okay.
I'll tell you why I beg to differ. I live in Mason Edition. My mother, everybody, my whole family grew up in Mason Edition. Could I tell you, we had one running water in that area. Everybody used to go there, but everybody had water running in their house.
So
everybody had water running in their house. You know the reason why they used to go to the pump?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Going to the pump is like it was like a tradition for Ron and Mason.
Right, and so let me be
We
clear.
just love to go to the pump.
And there's nothing wrong with going to the pump if you choose to do that. But if you
That's what I'm
have
saying,
to do
but
that,
I'm saying that we wasn't
Right.
hating.
fine. And that,
Ain't
and
nobody
that,
around there was hating.
so that's one example of a people who wanted to go to the pump. But the majority of people who begging and who sleeping on the side of the road and who having to go to the pump, they hating.
Okay. I let me agree with you to the
I ain't saying what you saying is wrong. I just saying that can't be. You can't use that to measure everybody.
Because let me tell you why I say I'll agree to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know we have some people on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Some choose to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Some don't have no choice. But
And some of it is mental health. Yeah.
that's what they saying,
Yeah.
right?
But that's
so at
hating.
the end of the day,
Mhm.
that's why I love to share scriptures
Mm-hmm.
with educated people,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And Jesus said that, look here, deal with me first, because the poor will always be with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what we see going on now, that ain't just start
No,
happening.
it's been happening. It been,
That been
but
happening
I want
from-
to touch this some more tomorrow because I got to run because I only got like a
No,
minute
before
left.
you run, right?
Uh-huh.
Just let me give you something quick to share with you.
I was trying to get the last caller, but go ahead.
This would be some thoughts for you later,
Mhm.
right? Do you go in the grocery shops?
Yeah.
Every day the grocery shop crowded. I ain't talking about just one grocery shop.
Mhm.
Every grocery shop you walk in New Providence.
And every day people
crowded.
hold on, and every day the crowded grocery shop people complaining. You was listening to that
No,
part?
see, listen to me.
You was listening to that part? Because there's being there complaining, there's be leaving
The
stuff
ones
to the
in food
counter.
shop, they don't be complaining.
What you mean? Every day I go to the food store, they have a whole bunch of stuff with people leave to the register because they can't afford it.
Well, they ain't complaining. They just couldn't afford them. But
What you mean they ain't complaining, bro? If they bring it, they intended to buy it. The fact that they had to leave it, that mean that they didn't have enough money.
Okay, let's put the grocery shop aside. Do you go to the airport?
I do occasionally. Ah, boy, we call in tomorrow. I'll be on tomorrow, most high willing, so we could finish the discussion on hurting. But tomorrow we can be